Hey, well, good morning, YouTube. Just wanted to share with you my latest modification to the Humvee. I actually scored a spare tire carrier. Super excited about it. These things are monsters, as you well know. I don't know what it weighs, but it weighs all of it, whatever it is. It's a monster, but it has to be because these um, dual beadlock, run flat, whatever Humvee tires, the assembly weighs about 160 pounds, and so it needs to be very robust. This thing's a monster. It includes a lifting mechanism to help you to pick it up and put it down. There are plenty of videos out there. You can go watch all that. What I'm going to do is go ahead and get this thing put on, and what's pretty neat about it is there's basically 4 bolts on the truck that I'm going to swap out. I recently got this airlift bumper. I didn't make a video about it, so if you're looking, it's not there. But I had a lot of fun swapping this off another truck and hanging out with a bud of mine named Joe. But we got this thing put on, and this particular one already had this side of the bracket in place. And then I came across this part of the other side of the assembly. So pretty jacked up about that. I've got pretty much everything except for the original OE brass bushings for the top and bottom of this. I made something up here out of some aluminum. I'm going to swap that out, but in the meantime, it'll get it put on here, get my spare out of the bed. So take these 4 bolts out. I'll see you in a minute. All right, so the bracket, simple, couple of bolts. This thing weighs a lot, so submitted for your viewing pleasure. I'm going to attempt to strain my knees, my hips, my back, pull out my shoulder, and put this thing in here. Now, I did make my own bushings for this top plate. These are not going to be permanent, but they're made out of a lighter weight metal that can crush and rotate on here. I actually made it out of a sign. And slip that in place, and then see what we can do with this thing. Oh, good Lord. No one has to go to the gym when you got one of these. Boom. Oh, that's a monster. You know, that means I'm gonna have to park the truck further in the garage, I guess, to make that go. All right, well, get the bolt on the bottom, and see you in a minute. Well, this part's kind of interesting, but looking is going to be time consuming. But this is the using machines instead of your back to get this thing mounted. I'm gonna lower it on down. Man, I don't know. I would assume this does not interfere with the pintle hitch, but it probably does. I don't know. Get this thing down, and interesting thing, I really don't know the whole history about this particular unit, other than I believe it has never been installed. I think it's your example of new old stock. Yeah, it's complete other than the bottom bolt and the bushings, which, like I said, I'll hunt those down. I don't think that's terrible, and I could get some machined. Not a big deal. I get this puppy down. So yeah, that's pretty neat. That drops it into a location that now I can put the tire on. So I've got a spare that's in there. I actually picked up 2 more, and they're in better shape than that one. So I'm gonna pick the best of those 2 and get that slapped on here. So I know somewhere in the operator's manual it says something about take the 50 cal out before you do this. So I'm gonna grab that. But my spare choice is the tread on this one. The general look of this one is great. That one's not bad, but this one's fantastic. These are aged anyway. You wouldn't want to leave any of these on here long term because they're too old. Old tires can be super dangerous, but they're both, I think, in a little better shape than this one that I've been hauling around with me. I either have it up like that or typically laying flat, and then it uses up the whole bed. I think right now this is something about this I don't like. I've used the truck in applications where the tailgate needed to be down in order to carry things and stuff. And this doesn't make a lot of sense to me right now. I'm assuming that the reason why you've got this guy on the back here is you can lock it or stop it from rotating. But man, choice between having a spare tire that's not in the bed or a spare tire that's always in the way otherwise, we'll see. Not real happy with that. But anyway, so that's what I'm choosing from. The valve core on this one was damaged. They were both still holding air, and I don't know when these were last aired up. So I swapped the valve core over and gonna go ahead and air this one up, clean it up a little bit. This guy's gonna go on. So what we want to do is take a look at these tires and determine which one is really the best candidate. And the way to do that is to look at the date stamp. Date stamp on a tire gives you an idea how old it is, obviously. And at least when it comes to personal passenger vehicles, they want your tires to be no more than 6 years old. Doesn't matter the tread, doesn't matter the mileage. At 6 years of age, a tire is considered out of date. So just like your milk in your refrigerator, you better go check it. I think you're probably out of date. So there's a lot of brouhaha out there about military tires being timeless or 10 years. I'm not going to get into that. What I'm going to show you is the date stamping so that you know. Of my tires, the one that I'm choosing to put on here, according to the date stamp, here's right here. Let's roll it up where it's easy to read. This is the 28th week of 2007. So all your tires made after the year 2000 are dated that way. I'm really not good at reading the dates. You can look up on the internet how to read dates on tires that are newer. Excuse me. You can look up on the internet how to read the dates on tires that are older. So this tire was built in what? 41st week, 2003. Definitely older than that one. And again, tires can be deceiving. This tire is so fresh, you can still see the color marks in between, whatever, but yet that's a very old tire. Now this tire here, I've looked around it a couple times. This is the one I've been using as a spare, and it doesn't have the same type of date stamping on it, which is indicative of a tire that is older than the year 2000. And I'm really no good at reading those dates. So if you want to know, see, this is this 036, and I really don't know what that means. So let me just show you for comparison on a passenger vehicle. This Ford van over here with the ladder rack on top. I got these tires last year, and they are, let me show you, 16th week of 2022. 16th week of 2022. So this, it's kind of fascinating. This truck only has a little over 20,000 miles on it. It's 2016 model. And so it's been through tires, not because of wear, but because of age. So that's why I actually put those on it last year. Anyway, let's get back to doing this. But if you're wondering how I chose which tire to use, that's how I chose, not just how the tread looks, but I'm looking at the age of it as well in the event that I ever have to put it into rotation. I can see this would be not a lot of fun to do out in the woods, but considering the alternative of trying to lift one of these incredibly heavy monsters, not bad. Now, it's fascinating. I saw somebody installing one of these on YouTube, and he was obsessed over the wording pointing upright. And I noticed that, so there's a half moon on here. That's going to help center the wheel when you're putting it on. Oh, look at that. O-ring leaking. That may not be a good tire to use, huh? Unless it's been fixed. I've got new O-rings. That's crappy. It was holding air when I put it on, believe it or not. So I guess we'll keep an eye on that. All that talk about the freshest tire. Now the O-ring, there's a there is this rim's two-piece, and there's a, just go back on my videos and look at where I put the tires on this truck to begin with. It's been a couple years ago. You'll see how the O-ring goes in here in case you're curious how to take one of these apart. So anyway, I'm going to try to index it just because it seems like the right thing to do, but it really doesn't matter to me. Especially if I'm going to be taking this off again in the not too distant future. But this thing ends up being a little bit, heck, I may be pretty close right there. But yeah, this thing weighs a ton. Oh, what the heck, there it is. So you're definitely used to jacking your car. I'm not used to jacking my tire up, but hey, that's how this works. A little lube always makes everything go better. We have our grease gun here, and I'm going to go through and grease it. And I don't know if I'm supposed to use that wrench. I probably am supposed to use that wrench to lock that, I would think, against. I should keep it from moving. But I'll go ahead and shoot some grease in all the fittings, and we'll see. I don't know. Thank God I got a camera down there to see behind me, because that totally blocks the rearview mirror, makes it useless. But this camera does indeed do wonders, and I guess that's going to be my backup signal. So anyway, that is what you're. Oh, did I? You know what? I missed it by. Let's see. I missed it by one lug nut. If I wanted to center Goodyear, didn't I? Needed to clock it over. Oh well, I don't care. We'll keep an eye on that. That may be a leaky tire, but I can tell you that valve stem was crushed, and it could be a misdiagnosis when someone wrote on here, bad O-ring. I know how to fix that, though. So there you go. It's your Rhino spare tire mount. And let's look here. Rear view mirror. All right, you're driving down the road and you're trying to look at your rear view mirror. Guess what you're going to be looking at? Yeah, you guessed it. So we're going to be using that camera, I guess, a little more often to see. It's kind of crappy. I don't know. We'll see. We like to lower the tailgate when we're out four-wheeling and want to eat some lunch and stuff. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to stay on there. It's funny. You really want something really, really bad, and then you get it, and you're like, huh. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. We'll let it ride. We'll take it out on the trail a few times and see. It's like your car insurance, your health insurance, and many other things, your fire alarms, your fire extinguishers, things you hope you never, ever, ever need, like your seat belts. You don't ever need them. Excuse me. You don't ever want to need your seat belt, your airbags, your anti-lock brakes, but that's what a spare tire is all about. This is my backup, since I have no, my rear view mirror is almost useless. Now there it is. I can see it. That's the pintle hitch, which I'm thinking about taking that out. But I do use it. That trailer uses a pintle. There's the bottom of the spare tire. It works, baby. Well, I'm going to get this thing finished up. It is the weekend, and since I work for a living, I have a lot of things to get caught up on. And this is done for now. And I'm going to move on to the next things. I actually have to put the fuel gauge quit reading in this, and I've got a new sending unit waiting in there. That should be pretty straightforward, except I was noticing that the wire harness for it, the wires are they're both male. Obviously they're both black. If you know anything about, good Lord, if you know anything about these trucks, all the wires are black, and they get these little metal tags that tell you what the wires are. But I cannot tell by looking, since there's not a male and female, which one's the ground and which one's the sender. I'll figure it out. Gonna jump into that next. Appreciate you watching, and catch you next time.